Her Own Pony, Chapter 9, Deadline. The sun rose above the peak of Canlas Mountain, with slightly less spectacle than was normal. The only real sign that was there was a dull, bright smudge in the clouds, where it might have been, but the smudge was lost in the blurring curtains of rain that bore down on the city with a vengeance. She had been watching the weather, coming in for an hour, waiting for it to reach the boiling point. Only in the last 10 or so minutes, however, had the storm actually started. For so long beforehand, the clouds had been gathering, clumping together slowly and darkening far above her head. It was after taking account that she was staying in Camelot, the highest place around. If she squinted a little, she could almost make out the Pegasus ponies flying around, crossing the clouds that clumped together and formed an unbroken line that spoke of a maelstrom to come. A whistling wind stuck up, howling past outlying fringes of the mansion. From her spot on the balcony it was always deafening, although she was lucky not to have it come from behind her, so no rain actually landed on her. It was a small luxury, but it was enough. But it stopped the one clear landscape from becoming a mire of muddy browns and running waters. The flickering of the candle by her bed, the occasional lightning flash, was the only light she had, but it was enough to see that Camelot was a little wet. She let a deep sigh, her body relaxing until she was lying down, her head resting on the front hooves, as she watched the storm. She knew that today could possibly be the last day she could see. This is the last sunrise. Funny that she hadn't even thought she had missed something that simple, that much. It was a big yellow ball, after all, a flame mass in the sky, and yet there was something about it. Welcoming glow in the morning, when she woke up, looked outside, the reds and oranges. When she went to bed in the evening, the fancy had shown her the city. And I don't get to see it today? She was lost in thought. She didn't hear the knocking at the door until a shout came through, barely making into her head, and past the noise of the rain. She looked back to see a very bedraggled-looking polished mantle, standing there, slowly, hesitatingly, opening the door. His grey fur was looking more darker, and water dripped from the top of his muzzle. He coughed as he caught sight of her sitting on the balcony, doing a quick outtake before hastily recovering. "I am sorry if I have dropped anything, Miss Pye. I just wish to tell you that breakfast is ready for you, if you are hungry." His smile looked forced for some reason. "Thanks, Polished." She saw back. He now looked as if to leave, but a thought slipped in her head, and he stopped. She stopped him with a shouted, "Actually, do you think I'll be able to have it in here?" Posh hesitated. "Why would you want to eat up here? Wouldn't you wish to come downstairs and discuss the plans for today with Fancy Pants? I have no doubt that he would want to see how you slept last night." His eyes wandered around him before resting on someone behind her, out in the storm. For some reason, he just couldn't meet her eyes. "Is there something wrong?" "No, not at all," she balked. "I just wanted to sell some fresh clothes for the day. Could I have myself getting all wet from the rain?" The princess would appreciate that, would they? He looked quickly at her and sighed. "Very well. I will be back with your food. Fancy will not be happy, however. He does enjoy the conversation." With that, he walked out of the room, closing the door softly and leaving her alone again. Truthfully, the idea to eat by herself was a spur of the moment, but there was something that she needed to check before she could go out and talk to Fancy and Polish. Actually, Polish had been acting a little strangely while he was talking. Something had surprised him. She stood up with a soft groan, cracking her jaws, and stretching quickly before moving over the dresser, the massive mirror on the side of it, a full-length one that would let her check her suspicion. She closed her eyes instead of fervent, not wanting to see herself. She didn't want to take the risk of seeing what had changed overnight, if anything. She opened her eyes and looked. The face that looked back wasn't hers. Couldn't have been hers. Yet it was, staring right back at her, an innocent thought. But that wasn't right in the first place. She never had her own face, only one she bought from another pony. One that had a real life, not transparent facade, but it was the only face she had. Thought where the semblance of colour was gone. Her straight hair was pale, tangled, trained down the sides, and cut ivory like any luster. One vibrant pink had drained away, only a pale white. Lit only by the candle next to her bed, an occasionally lightning flash. She was glad for that. If Randy had been better, then Paul's mental might have got a better look at her. But it was the eyes. The eyes were black as before, sunken pits of deep darkness. The surface of them was unbroken. In the ways that may existed, but absorbed by spreading darkness. She turned sideways to give view of herself. The keen mark, it was gone. Her flank was bare of any markings, any designation. She may have made her hide the coat, the eyes, but this was her fate. No pony would ignore the loss of her key mark, and they would have lost her head. They just weren't that sort of thing that disappeared. Well, long time back now, I've got audience. I just had to hide myself for today, at least until I get to the princess. At least now I have an excuse for a cloak, or some clothes, or something. Ponies would those kind of things in the weather. Knocking out at her thoughts, and she hurriedly swept a hoof through the wardrobe, and quickly grabbed the first thing, anything to hide herself. She ran over the door, and grabbed the handle. You can get it open. Just long enough to hurt her. I hurried. Thanks! She got the foot from off Polish magic, and retreated with a slam. Her heart sunk when she heard Polish coughed awkwardly and yelled salty. I think you might want to reconsider your apparel for today. Pinky, I have thought that most Canonians do not go about wearing lace undergarments. Well, at least he didn't notice the coat. She heard him trot softly away on the other side of the door. His hoof strips drifting away, barely audible over the crashing rain. She turned the food in front of her, carried it out the balcony, and started eating. The tip of the roof wall castle hidden today. Like the other days, she just make out the tip of one of the castles. She knew she had to go out there sooner or later and confront it. By the moment she was trying to delay, it was daunting knowing that accumulation of a few days of life might vanish in the space of a second. But alternative, living a lie, hiding away in Camelot, hiding truth from fancy pants, she couldn't do that. She had a threat of the gods. Celestia herself bearing down, and there was the one about to come to courtesy of Octavia. Not all the finishes she got, for better for worse. The sound of the rain had been anything to go by. It would have been heavy. It would have bore down on her, and soaked her in seconds. It would have been cold, annoying, and terrible for a day. Surprising wasn't all like that. Yep, it was much more worse. She and Fancy and Poise had eyed the rain dubiously from doors. She and Fancy already in the clothing. Her cloak was doing its job, hiding her features. She wasn't going to take it off. Anyone around the sea. The rain, however, looked like it was going to tear it off. Anyway, it was at the wind. Could have been either. They had been having arguments, it seemed. She and Fancy made a dash for the gate, sprinting along the long drive. Never reduced the amount of time spent exposed to the elements. Or maybe stopped herself from being blown off the city itself. It could have happened, or so she thought. At first, they thought they might make it all the way to the castle in one go, running through the rain and getting to the front doors. They had made about first 4 shops before Clouds got really angry. Can Cloud get angry? I don't think that I want to know the answer to that one. The driving rain that started stopped them all together, suddenly ramped up another level. Instead of forcing back, it slammed them into the ground, moving anywhere under the fire. From the water till it was impossible. Only shops were visible options, and they covered areas of the city. All of a sudden, instead of a clear run all the way to castle, the road became more winding maze of back streets and alcoves. All efforts stopped both of them from becoming smudges in the pavement. Fancy, she called out. We're getting there. All the silent. How long did I tell you the princess expect us? They're standing in front of her, turning his head over his back, shaking rain out of his mane, at the same time flicking back the hood of his back cloak. Well, he said, half shouted. The audience was scheduled sometime near midday, my dear, and the hour is currently 10:30. He saw his person turn, whistling the hoofs. Don't worry, Pinkie Pie. I'm sure you'll arrive to speak to the princess in perfect condition. It'll be best for you to relax. I have met Celestia before, and I can tell you that she's much more welcoming than nobles around here would have you believe. But why would nobles around here think she's mean? She queried a worried voice. Fancy Jackabilly. Let's just say the princess and nobles, they don't mix, and you do not want to see why. He added as he saw his lesson. Now let's move on. The princess may tolerate some tiredness, but it's best not to be late in the first place, if you ask me. Fancy walked, weaving a path to a narrowed, covered path that was made by small coverings that jilted out from the shop fronts. A steady stream of other ponies were making its way back and forth on the coverings, all of them go about their days, and nothing was different. The numbers were no less meaning than had been. There was a of crunch of ponies passing by either side of them both. She had a suspicion about Fancy. He seen him passing through a crowd with ease, and she couldn't think of any way he might be able to do other than him cheating with a spell. Wham! With a startled cry, she fell to the side, and the pony brushed into her. Pushed her over. The pony had blue starting for what she could see. Was I moved on as nothing happened? The crowd didn't seem to care either. The pony passed on with her business. She staggered to her hooves, pushing herself forward to the shop front, enough to get some modicum of space. Stared steadily, like a thin silver, was enough for her to get a footing and get a look around. She had tried to find Fancy. He had been in front of her, so the only way of finding her way around this twisting city for insanity. All she had to do was find him. Again. That seemed to be like a part of the problem. The head of ponies walking by blocking her view, preventing her from finding Fancy. She tried to get someplace higher, but around here was on the same level. There was no way to elevate her sight. She started jumping, trying to catch even the smallest glimpse of a pony that might be Fancy. They all looked the same coat, same belt. How could she find them? Grr! Why does it have to happen all the time? Cows are evil. She hopped up again, hovering in the air for a split second before coming down. Same view every time. Top of her head, horns, wings. She started walking direction she had been going. Maybe she was going the right way. She came up with the fence again. Then they could keep going. It would be easy, right? All she had to do would be to go in the right direction. Oh no, I didn't I? The swing ahead was familiar, but in no good way. This was where she had passed, not even a few minutes ago, in the other direction. If she didn't find Fancy, then Fancy only get further away. She twirled suddenly, some sense of direction, and the purpose filling her. All she would have to do now, we go back to where she had come from, continue. Then she'd be able to catch up with Fancy and reunite. Her head sank as she turned. She noticed an intersection that split the sidewalk. The whole place was covered, and much more wide than she remembered. Was it the ponies crowding around her, stifling her, tapping in the net? With a gasp, she started running. She just had to move. She had to get away from the crowd, escape. She picked up direction and at random. Started running along. The ponies she bumped into gave her annoyed glances before being lost again in the crush. Forgotten. But she didn't care. She just had to escape and meet the princess in whatever order possible. The sidewalk opened up, suddenly revealing a massive crowded area. The market, We must pack pace and Camelot. Hastily erected cars shouted the ponies from the pounding rain. The extras know they stop. Shopkeepers trying to sell their wares. This is the worst place you could be. She'd have no chance of finding a way out now. Hey, she even know how she got out the last time. That was all fancy doing, not her own. With a muffled sob, she stalked to the ground, found a free spot, collapsed, her mane falling on her head. The coat felt heavy on her. She felt the urge to rip it off. Let other ponies see her. She didn't care anymore. She just wanted it for all to go away. Why did she have to get lost? Why did the pony have to chase her? Why was existence not somehow a bad thing? The pony sat down beside her. She didn't bother turning. She knew the pony wouldn't care if she tried to talk. Maybe it would go away soon, and she would be left on her own again. Did they want something? Why would he sit down next to her? A stranger nudged her aside, having stopped. Hey! Came by the horse, yelled whisper, and effort to be heard about the water. She turned her slowly, striking on the ground. What? What is it? The coming dog lacking motion. The pony said, You lost too. Very fun answer. It said, Yeah, same here. Kinda sucks, you know. It might be awesome to fly up and clear clouds. Stupid rain, though. Can't get out the car without being smashed back down. How the earth ponies manage anyway? The mare could be no doubt from listening to the voice. I also wanted something. No pun on and Camelot seemed to talk to another without wanting something. She turned her head to tell that she couldn't do anything for her. The voice stuck in her throat. Seated behind her was a very familiar and very curious looking Pegasus, and she seemed very colourful. The stranger nudged aside softly. Hey! Came out hoarse whisper, yelling, in an effort to be heard about the weather. She turned her head slowly, still looking at the ground. What is it? What is it? The word came out dull, lacking emotion. The pony said, You lost! Without waiting for an answer. Yeah, same here. Kinda sucks, you know. It'd be awesome just to fly up and clear the clouds. Stupid rain, though. Can't get out the car around without being smashed back down. How the earth ponies manage anyway? The mare could be no doubt from listening to the voice. Obviously wanted something. No point around Camelot. She talked to another without wanting something. She turned her head to tell her that she couldn't do anything for her. And the word got stuck in her throat. She before was a very familiar, very curious looking Pegasus. And she seemed very colourful. Yeah, the cloak pony stammered. The weather's pretty bad today. Yep, sucks. She sank back in the fold of her clothes in the effort to hide herself. The rainbow Pegasus. What was her name? Has she heard it before? Chuckled. Yeah, I'm the lead weather mare down in Ponyville. Not to brag anything. So I have seen my fair share of some massive storms. This is like an 8.5 on the scale. She struck a major pose and was saying, I could totally clear up this in a few seconds. Only problem is that it's Camelot weather and all. Not my problem, you know. The cloak pony nodded hastily. Yeah. Wrong weather. Can't touch it. Ah, sucks. She trailed off. Rainbow Pegasus near their eyes. Man, you remind me of so much of one of my friends. Her heart froze. Really? Is that bad? Betty shook her head quickly. No, not at all. She's one of my best friends. Her name is Cloak Pony held her breath. Flash Eye. She's really nice. I bet that you two of you would help instantly. So I'm being rude or something. I'm a Rainbow Dash. She all hoof for a shake. The Cloak Pony slowly raised her own hoof and clacked against rainbows. Remember good widely. Not the brag, I think, but I'm the kind of fastest Pegasus in Equestria. Surprised you haven't heard of me already. The fastest Pegasus in Equestria, gasp! I know, she exclaimed. You should totally come with me and meet my friends. But you love them. You seem like a cool gal. Come with me. I could totally take you to them. Something flagged in Cloak's pony mind. But I thought you said wishing you were lost. Rainbow kept talking as she had her head. Yep, totally take it to them. But walked off, leaving her behind. She looked at the retreating Pegasus, contemplated, shaking the crowd, disappearing. But a quick look back turned her against the thought. Anything was better than being lost in the crush of bodies. So with a slight whimper, she started after Rainbow hooted-tailed. Hey, you got a name, Shast? Her cloak pony hesitated, thinking of something. She's just quick using the name Pinky. She assured at this point knew the real one. Call me Strand. The Pegasus was more than a little unsurely. Pegasus didn't seem to notice. Strand? Huh. Weird name. Rather weirder. Come on, Strand. I'll get you to my friend in no time. She stood off again, and we had her follow. They started about an alternative, but I could probably leave her and find fancy somewhere. They walked for at least half an hour, wandering through the streets. They attempted to find some pony, but he still hadn't lightened. The crash of the thunder became louder and louder, shaking the grounds. They walked in. It was clear that soon there wouldn't be anywhere to go but for inside, whether that be a castle or some house. But in covered alley, that didn't matter. As long as Element couldn't get her, she'd be safe. Rainbow growled beside her. Oh, come on, she yelled. How big is this stupid city anyway? A multi-eared Pegasus stamped hoof on cobblestones. Thunderstorm. Stop me from flying? I mean, really? Who the hell makes a storm this big? I bet some Pegasus screwed the specifics or something. Make class 9 was meant to be class 3. See, it happened before. She huffed and stopped her hoof again. The two were standing in a slightly less crowded part of the city. Sure, still ponies, but definitely less of them. No noticeable difference was a duo that duo a different part of the city was John Muller populace. Instead of pushing past, the new person hurriedly down between stalls, keeping an eye on the sky. Geese things deteriorated rapidly. She and Rainbow were lost, but she had nowhere to go. But thunder. Well, this sucks. I don't know. I think it's changing around us. It's a maze or something. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out how these guys find their way around. Now cloak pony ears picked up. Why don't we just ask for directions? They could tell us where to go. Are you crazy? We don't ask for directions. I bet I can find myself. Just you watch. I got this far. I can find a way out. Please. I just want to get out of here. There's some ponies that expected me. I really don't be late or anything. Rainbow eyes softened. Oh, come on. Can't we just keep going? She waited for a response, but didn't get one. Puffing and sagging her cloaked pony shoulders. Fine. We'll ask somebody. But we go inside first. I don't trust these guys. She shrugged at the passerbys. She walked in a by shop, a coffee shop by the look of it, and packed to the weather. The bus opened. Immediately gave smells and noises. Swept over to and yelled to. Shut the barn door! You're letting the warmth out. She hoisted the Rainbow Pegasus inside. The slammed door slinging the atmosphere again. A soft song drifting on the room, along with heavy steam, a sweet scent of smoke. The handles of the shop were packing stuff everywhere. They could beanbag chairs, benches, floor had bodies there. They're all chanting. And most are facing towards the front of the room. And Richard sat and raised section of the ground. He had a guitar sitting in front of him, resting his legs, his hoofs dancing on the strings. Both eyes were closed to happiness, or just playing out action. And the musician was most definitely a rolling stone. She gasped, a sharp, clear sound. Some less curious to stare, and some annoyed ones. Musician Stone opened one of his eyes, got a look at the pony, then made the noise. Die roomed. Roamed the room for a moment, before settling on her. Like recognition settled on him, before his face became calm, lake again. The wind was moving beside her, hopping slowly from side to side. Come, Strand. I don't think we need to ask for directions. We are going just fine. Come on, let's go. She held out her hoof, carried by a sheet on leaf. Wait a second, she said. I know. They started playing for a shop, making hoppers. He looked at her doubtfully. Maybe. Whatever. Just make sure it doesn't take too long. I'm going to go to the bar and grab something to drink. Back in a second. She tore off into the crowd next to the counter. She nodded to herself and turned back to rolling and continued to stroll along slowly. She moved the hoover at him to gain his attention. He rolled his eyes before slowly bringing his song to an end. The few carefully placed chords in a bow as the sound faded in the air. I stopped either to clap or groan in disappointment. One bent another grand bow. Said, don't worry, folks. I will be back sometime today. We can't keep perfection forever. I need to take a break. See you soon, every pony.